Welcome back to 5 Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go to Underdog, use promo code FFSGPN so they know we sent you. Again, use that Derrick Henry higher on the touchdowns. It is a perfect building block for every pick'em slip. It's hit 7 for 7 this year. We're going to go for 8 this week. So let's talk about the waiver wire. We've had a ton of injuries this week, which I think we can say every week, but this week feels like the receiver position especially got tanked. DK Metcalf has a meniscus injury, 2 to 4 weeks. Looks like Chris Godwin possibly dislocated his ankle. Chris Godwin's going to be out for an extended amount of time, possibly this season. Mike Evans looked like he had a serious hamstring injury. Tried to tough it out tonight. Looks like he worsened the injury. And then, of course, Brandon Aiyuk, potentially ACL. Nothing confirmed, but a lot of whispers that it's the ACL. So a lot of impact on that. And then Deshaun Watson had his big injury. Looks like a ruptured Achilles. And we saw Jameis Winston get in there after Dorian Thompson-Robinson played a little bit. Then he got hurt. So you're going to have the quarterback position in Cleveland affecting all the pass catchers, which they actually were better without Watson, which I don't think many of us are surprised about. Same with, the Colts. We saw Anthony Richardson play, and then all the Colts receivers went away. And so we're having to just sort through all that right now. But let's look at who's being added and who's being dropped. The top added players: Jauan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Russell Wilson, Keon Coleman, Detroit Lions defense, Romeo Doubs, Tutu Atwell, Cedric Tillman, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Marcus Mariota, Tank Bigsby, Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard, Mark Andrews, Alexander Madison, Mecole Hardman, Khalil Shakir, Justice Hill, Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder got signed by the Las Vegas Raiders off of the Cardinals practice squad, and then Hunter Henry. And so let's go up the list a little bit. And again, everyone's talking about Ricky Pearsall. Everyone's talking about Jacob Cowing. But let's not forget about Jauan Jennings, who could be available this week, who had a monster game of just a few weeks ago, and he was a big fab. Everyone spent all their fab on him, and then everyone came back. Debo came back. Kittle came back. Aiyuk started playing better. Now, Jennings is relevant. I'm going to go Jennings over Pearsall and Cowing. I know that you want to try to get all of them, but Jennings is 37% rostered. That makes him, 63% available. I'm going to put more on him than I am the other guys just because we've seen it. I know Cowing had, over 50 yards, 40 yards on one play. Pearsall is the first round pick. You want to try to get one of these guys, if not two, and see what's going to happen. But I'm going to go with Jennings as my top priority in this group, then Pearsall, then Cowing. Then you have Russell Wilson. He looked good. Jets defense was a little banged up, so I don't know if I want to completely say, he did great against the Jets, but at the end of the day, he did great against the Jets. And Russell Wilson was throwing the ball down the field, and you can see why they wanted to put him in over Justin Fields. George Pickens, fantasy managers are very thankful for it. But we saw him just doing more damage down the field, stretching the defense, and that opened up the running game for them as well. Keon Coleman, you saw Shakir on this list. Amari Cooper really makes this offense a lot better and very different. Teams were not very afraid of the receiving core of Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman. But you bring Amari Cooper over as the one, and now Shakir moves into the slot. Coleman's there as the two, and you have better matchups for everybody. Spreads the defense around, focuses the defense elsewhere. They're able to run the ball, and with Shakir and Coleman, they're getting better coverages. And Cooper's going to get more acclimated as he learns this offense. But Keon Coleman is a guy that really could have a solid second half of the season. Detroit Lions defense, they have a good matchup this week. Romeo Doubs, he's 63% rostered, so less available, but someone people are looking at. possible trade candidate. I think that's one of the things people are very interested in, but also the fact that he's been in the end zone. He's been doing really well since he came back from a suspension. Tutu Atwell, big game, a lot of involvement. I'm not interested in Atwell. I think it's kind of an anomaly with Whittington, getting hurt and then coming in. Cooper Kupp being out. I think Cooper Kupp comes back next week. Cedric Tillman. We talked about the Browns. Tillman, I mean, everyone's talking about everybody else on the Browns, but like Tillman had 8 catches. That was a great game. And he is, a third round pick from 2 years ago that really was, expected to be one of the replacements here when they eventually moved on from Cooper. Tillman is a good receiver. He's not a huge separator, doesn't have great speed, but he's a very productive receiver. He's very aggressive after the catch and someone that I'm interested in. I think Tillman is a sneaky buy this week, and he's only 2% rostered. And when everyone else is going after all these other receivers, look for Tillman. I think Jameis Winston's going to start. DTR did look a lot better this week than he did last year, but Jameis Winston's going to sling it. And Tillman's the kind of guy, jump ball guy, that he's going to go after. Great possession catch receiver. But Njoku is another guy, which I told you 2 weeks ago to go get Njoku. I never could have predicted Deshaun Watson getting hurt, but I expected Jameis Winston to be starting at some point. And Njoku went off this week with the combination of DTR and with Jameis Winston. Marcus Mariota, we don't know the full extent of it with Jaden Daniels, but Marcus Mariota almost had 20 fantasy points this week, and he could start. We don't know what Jaden Daniels. They took him back for X-rays, but he didn't return to the game. Tank Bigsby, check to see if he's available. Most leagues he's been picked up, but he was rage dropped after people dumped their fab. He didn't do well. Look for Bigsby to be someone that might be available. Cade Otton's another one where this Chris Godwin situation is going to make things very interesting for him and Sterling Shepard, especially with Mike Evans also being out. Cade Otton is a tough dude. I don't know if you watched the game, but if you did, this dude took some huge hits from Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, and a couple other defenders, and he was just fearless across the middle. Big kudos to him on a big game. Mark Andrews, again, he should be rostered, but just check. Alexander Madison, even with Zamir White came back, Alexander Madison is the guy, and so he's someone you're going to want to look for. And again, Khalil Shakur, he's about 30%, available. Justice Hill, he's inconsistent, but he's a big piece of this offense. And when they get him going and this offense is rolling, he's a solid flex play. Desmond Ridder, not interested. Hunter Henry, I told you guys this offseason, go pick up Hunter Henry. He is the number one receiver on this offense. I think Demario Douglas bounces back this week. He was battling illness, didn't play a full complement of snaps, but Hunter Henry has been a consistent option in this offense. Yes, they're not going to play the Jaguars every week, but I'm still interested in Henry. All right, so let's see who's being dropped. Jordan Whittington, I'm okay with dropping him. Justin Fields, I'm okay with dropping him, depending on what's available on your waiver wire. We don't know if Russell Wilson is going to stick. I mean, for all we know, he craps the bed in a week or two, and we're back to Fields. But if you need the roster spot, I'm okay with it. Sean Tucker, I'm okay with doing the drop, but just be mindful that this was the Ravens, and this was also a negative game script. So he's someone that you could see be dropped, and you might be interested in picking up, but I will say I'm okay with dropping him. I'm going to drop him in this league just because of all of the, all the unknown. This backfield is a three-headed backfield. And, you probably need an injury ahead of him to see him get going. But I do think if they get into a positive game script that he's going to be more involved. But Now you have big injuries to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. It's going to be tough sledding for the Bucs. New Orleans Saints, people are dropping them. Deshaun Watson drop, Trey Sermon drop. I'm dropping all these guys. Jerry Jeudy, I'm interested in seeing what this looks like, but Jeudy still hasn't done much. Bub Means drop, Darius Slayton drop, Clyde Edwards-Helaire drop, Kirk Cousins. I'm picking him back up. People are so flaky. I know that that they're bailing on him. I know he doesn't have the rushing upside, but still a good offense. He's got weapons. I'm okay with picking Kirk back up. Josh Downs. I mean, he's without Joe Flacco. It's tough. Michael Wilson, Dameon Pierce, Chase McLaughlin. Guys, I'm going to drop. Devin Singletary. This Giants offense just it sucks. And Andrew Thomas was a huge cornerstone of that offensive line, and they absolutely sucked without him last week. And we saw it last year. They sucked last year. Just a few guys, other guys to remember. Jalen Tolbert coming off the bye week. Roman Dunze coming off the bye week. Juju Smith-Schuster. People might rage drop him. Again, he is injured, so be mindful. He may, still have some lingering effects and could possibly miss another week. Hamstring injury, but people will rage drop him. Troy Franklin, his, in your deeper leagues, his role is growing. Sam Darnold, less than 50% rostered on ESPN. Drake May, in your one quarterback leagues, I don't know how interested I am. He's not going to get the Jaguars every week. He's not rushing as much as we'd like. And it was a Jaguars. He had 2 weeks in a row, decent games, but it was the Jaguars. Let's not get too excited. And then Tua's coming back. So Tua is less than 30% rostered. Jameson Winston is less than 5%, or actually less than 0.5% rostered. In your super flex leagues, yeah, Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Drake May, all those guys. But Sam Darnold and Tua would be quarterbacks that I'm looking at, and Kirk Cousins. I'm at running back. Tyron Tracy had a quiet game, but look for him to be more involved. But a guy that I really like is Jaylen Warren, 45% rostered, and then Alexander Madison, 42% rostered. Ray Davis, people, dropped him because James Cook was back. He looked good. I think he's going to have, a role. And if James Cook were to get hurt, he's only 15% rostered. As far as the tight ends, I talked about it. Hunter Henry is the guy I'm looking for. Jonnu Smith had a great week. I'm not going to go crazy and go look for him because Tua's coming back. And I think it's kind of a good opportunity for us to see what this offense is going to look like. So, all right. Good luck on your waivers this week. As always, good luck this season.